Well, hello everybody, this is Dr. Novak again. In this video, I'm going to show you a little bit of some questions that were asked and a hobbyist tank in New York City. You'll be quite surprised how high his redox is in his aquarium using an anoxic filtration system. So stay tuned. Okay, here's the pH and redox reading of my aquarium in the morning. Usually in the morning your redox is going to be higher than it will in the afternoon. But 376, that's quite high for a freshwater aquarium. Anyhow, what this is about is a fellow from New York sent me, after I did my video on redox and everything, he actually bought a meter, and here he is standing here in front of his tank. This uses a plenum and it uses BCB baskets. And he just hooked it up. His pH is 6.5 and his redox is 338 millivolts. But I told him, I said, wait patiently and you'll probably see your redox go up once the meter has acclimated. And of course, he did exactly that. And notice his redox did go up considerably to something like 368, if I'm not mistaken. 368, 364. I'll show you a picture of it. He took a picture of it. I mean, that's absolutely great. Those readings are off the charts for a freshwater aquarium. Remember, they only recommend for saltwater aquariums of no more than 400 redox. Our oceans are only 375 redox. And here we're able to achieve, with a plenum and an anoxic filter, we're able to achieve redox readings of 375, 364, whatever. But I wanted to show you this, that proof is in the pudding. Here's a guy from New York, after I did my thing, went and got one of the redox meters and controllers. This is a controller, not just a meter. And here he is with his aquarium. There was another thing he asked me. He was getting a little bit of algae on his the top of his Amazon sword babies. The picture here shows, and I told him cut back on his light, his duration, and he did that. A simple thing of cutting back on the time his lights were on, and he said the algae that was on his small little baby Amazon swords, what they do is Amazon sword will send out a runner, and then that runner will grow other baby swords, so they're very close to the top of the aquarium because he has big sword plants. And all he did was cut down the amount of light he was given, the duration of time, and he said the algae is just disappearing magically without doing any more than that. So this goes to show you that just with a little bit of husbandry and a little bit of thinking out stuff, that you can maybe solve your algae problems with just cutting back on the duration of time with your lights. Now, of course, this hobby that's in New York, he's using CO2, for his plants. He's trying to get his pH stabilized. He wants it to be about 6.5 because he has discus. He wants to keep it on the more acidic side to give the discus what they want. But I thought this would be interesting because I also had someone write in the comments that they had a redox of 200, but it dropped down to 88. Now, that's going a little low. So that individual needs to start looking to see why is it dropping. And I know for a fact that the guy in New York, his particular tank is set up in such a way that it mimics mine, except he is not using a canister filter. He's using a under the tank sump. That's the only difference. I'm using a canister, and he's using an under tank sump. He has over 90 fish in that aquarium, and I have about 80 fish, but I don't have any big, huge discus in my tank. So he has about 90 fish, he said, in his aquarium. So it's a 75-gallon tank, using a plenum, using BCB baskets in a sump. And if you think about it, oxidation level of over 360 for such a big tank with big fish. And remember, he's feeding them to take care of his discus and everything, because there's a lot of fish in there at 90 fish in the aquarium. So I'll probably have comments that he's overloading on his tank with too many fish, but it's just in a way going to show you everybody's different, and in a way it kind of shows everybody that the Anoxic Filtration System is a very capable filtration system. There's another thing I want to bring up too. These are older tanks. Both of these tanks, my tank and his tank. My tank's over 6 months old. I think his is over 8 or 9 months old. Okay, so these aren't brand new aquariums that we just set up a month or two ago. So let's understand that the tank has settled in. All the problems you have with that initial setup, with the bright brown diatom algae or everything that you may occur, that's all done. So these tanks now are settled in, and they're going pretty good with Redux like that. And I did want to tell everybody that you have to be patient. Let your tank settle in. It's going to go through all kinds of changes. It's like saltwater aquariums do. They go through changes. They go through algae blooms, or they may go through your white tank, or they may even go through a diatom algae where you're getting brown algae and things like that. Tanks have to settle in. They just don't break in within 30 days and then that's it. Okay, they have to settle in. It seems like once they settle in, as long as you're doing everything right, you should be good to go with a very successful aquarium for years to come. And that's what we want. But this is just showing you. I thought I'd hurry up and show you something like this. Oh, I also received an email from somebody. I'm pretty sure I know this guy, David Collin. David Collin, if I remember, I may be wrong, I think he's French, and he lives in South Africa. And he writes me, thank you so much for your selfless service to the fish keeping hobby. I hope you get to see the Anoxic filter revolution take over the hobby in the next few years. I always hated being bullied in the pet shops with, oh well, that won't work. You have to buy this equipment. I am determined to spread the Anoxic filtration word here in South Africa, but I still have 2 questions while the BCB baskets are maturing in my 200-gallon tank. And he asked me a couple questions. One thing we don't understand is, like, he's in South Africa, how expensive it's the price of kitty litter. Now, I don't understand that the like he'll say oil dry is 15 ZAR to $1 US. 15 ZAR, I don't know for South Africa how much 15 ZAR even is myself. But anyhow, so these are the problems that people face. Here we have a guy named Dave Collins. I think I've shown pictures of Dave Collins' aquarium in an office. I think that was Dave. I think if I remember correctly, Dave has ponds. And he talked about his ponds years and years ago. I'm going to say at least 10 years ago. So it's nice to hear from Dave again. And so people who make the claim, oh, I never heard of Anoxic filtration, like I said, it's used all over the world. And here we are, South Africa, and it's being used in South Africa even. So, and he was talking about gray water a little bit, about cleaning water. Anyhow, I thought I would bring this up to you to show you. Here's a hobbyist. He got himself a meter. He's using the same system as I've been advocating. Look how high his redox is. This doesn't mean everybody's going to do it because, well, are you using the right size of substrate? Are you using a high-grade carbon? He uses, the guy in New York uses Dick Boyd's ChemiPure. And on my video, I show you how to make generic Dick Boyd's ChemiPure, which I use, a generic form. And Dick Boyd's ChemiPure uses a resin with the carbon. And resin will also help clean your aquarium. But this is just to show you that you don't need a ton of plants. You don't need to have your lights on for a real long time. You just need to use the right equipment to do the right job for you. I mean, think about it. 90 fish are in this aquarium of his, and he has a redox of over 363. That's pretty good. That's real good, in fact. And he did a water change, and guess what? The redox went down. He just emailed me, sent me a little message, and he said, yeah, his redox and his pH went down, even though I think it went down to 251 or something like that. He just sent it to me. And if I 215 from 363. Remember, I told you about that. You do a water change and you don't realize how far down it can drop your redox until it can finally catch up to recover from that water change. So when you think you're doing good, you're really losing a lot of your redox, even though the water that we are using has a very high redox of over 500 to oxidize, germs and bacteria and stuff in the pipes. You can see when you do a water change exactly what happens. It lowers it. But anyway, if your redox is lower, if you did get a meter and you notice, well, my redox is low, like one guy made mention to me, it dropping all the way down to 88, then you have to rethink, what are you doing? Are you doing something wrong? Are you using carbon, not using carbon? Do you have other mediums in there that could be producing or doing something that could be affecting your redox? It's really having an aquarium. And then have an aquarium that has a lot of fish in it, like mine has 80 and his has over 90 fish. You have to start thinking of what are you doing wrong to correct the problem, okay, without going out and buying a whole bunch of stuff. So on these videos, that's what I'm trying to teach you. Try to do it right. Try to do it right the first time. Use the right equipment. Like I said, I can only teach you. I can't make you learn. I can't make you do anything. Use the right size substrate, make it to the right depth. I have a pH problem because of the fluval stratum that I'm using, but I got that solved now. My pH is up to like 6.89 because I use a little bit of baking soda in my top off, so that doesn't seem to be a problem anymore. I solved the problem of very low pH, which a lot of people have complained about with what the fluval will do. Even if you seem to use the kitty litter and have low pH, okay, you can add baking soda, or some people have suggested shells or whatever. Whatever, just got to think a little bit out of the box to fix the problem. It's not a big problem. Low pH is not a big problem like taking high pH and trying to make it lower. Then you're going to have to use some carbonic acid or something else to lower the pH. That's more of a problem to me than trying to raise pH. Okay, so I thought I would just show you this because I thought it was very interesting that here's another person with an age aquarium, and he's having great success with his redox. And it'll be nice to hear from other people who, if they do decide to invest in a redox speeder or controller, to know what, if you're using the Anoxic filtration, what is your redox? Is it real high or is it very low? It's interesting to see, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be interesting to see? Because this is something that nobody else on the internet is really advocating. The oxidizers that are in your aquarium that are used to oxidize fish waste and organic material that is in your aquarium. Okay, so until next time, this is Dr. Nowak. Thank you for watching.